Hey, welcome to Steuben County Drainage Board meeting, July 7th, 2025. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Some seconds. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. And then item number 2, petition.
Those are you
Oh,
approving all of the minutes or
Right,
because
that's
they're
what I
all
understand.
separate?
That was my motion to approve.
approve of all the minutes, yes.
Gonna approve all of them? Okay. You got some signing to do then. Here. And then I also have the final order
So
of the Paul Michael.
So you sign that.
Yeah, it's already approved, so.
Right. Item number 2, petition to vacate consent waiver Nathan Metz lateral number 10 Bear Creek Basin. Petition to vacate approximately 2,750 linear foot of tile atop end of drain. Petitioner Michael J. Schmucker. What we got going on here?
Years before.
Yeah. He owns all 3 parcels there. If there's a time to get rid of this one, now's the time to do it. There's not been a drainage assessment set up for this at all, Michelle, correct? There's no money in it whatsoever.
They changed the ridge line in the 80s back at during a hearing. So they never created another ridge line or another maintenance unit for the particular tile. It goes up into Ohio somewhere and
He wants to put a home out. He will definitely, when he's ready to vacate and plug the tile, he'll call me, so I can go out, verify that he actually plugs it. But this is at the very corner end of the county, 1000 East is State Line Road. He's basically upstream or at the beginning of the tile. Again, he's willing to take care of it himself from now on, so. Plus he wants to put a house up, so that would take care of the variance easement and all that, so.
surveyor's report and findings of fact also included.
Any proposal of plugging this tile off there?
Probably down about where Greg's cursor is, somewhere in there. So the tile going through the woods, obviously, whether it goes through the woods or not, still it's gonna be close to the woods, most likely plugged. The other area down to the south, that holds a little bit of water. It's still working, but they just, again, want to petition to vacate it and I'll take care of it themselves. Reason being is back, Greg, can you move your cursor a little bit to the left more, out of the woods, back to the right? They're gonna put a house up basically on the east side of the woods. Not there. They wanna put a home up here. Their septic system might sit down here somewhere. They want a pond. Again, so they'll need a variance to cross, but if they just vacate it, again, there's no maintenance unit set up for it. They will call, show us where they're going to cap it off approximately somewhere in here probably. And, then it's theirs. Do we know, what does the surveyor's report say? Go ahead.
Why don't we cap it at the road?
We could, except this is still working here, Rick. As far as there's still a wet hole that lays in here when it runs, so I think they kind of want to just utilize this as their own private. They'll take care of it. It's still somewhat working. Michelle, what would we have to do if there was an issue and they wanted us to fix it, if we didn't vacate it?
There's no maintenance unit to,
So we'd have to go and create a maintenance unit.
and I would assume it would be some kind of a joint drain with Ohio, but that's not part of Tamarack or the Buell drain. That just goes off into, eventually discharges into Bear Creek somewhere and into,
Yeah, my other
No,
question
yeah.
is not a part of it. It shouldn't be part of it, one of the joint drain boards that we're on. Just-
it should be probably, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, the ridge line used to go right down here. Follow these parcels,
Used to be part of Fish Creek 5.
and then, they did a ridge line amendment back in the eighties.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then
Twice.
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of
And now
times.
they never put it back in the unit.
That's right at the state line.
Right.
Really, he's better off paying for it himself if we made a unit just for this. I mean, if we'd only collect from him.
From him.
anyway.
Yeah, he'd be the only one that would benefit.
Yeah. That is a fair point. You can name it after him at least.
He's all consent.
Yeah, he's the only affected landowner and he signed a consent waiver. It's part of the petition. Therefore, it's not required.
It won't affect any of the properties to the west of that.
I don't believe so. Going out, I went out and
Like
did
from
a
the-
visual, but again,
From Hugs or
it's the start of the tile.
Mutts Fields, none of that goes to the east, that tile in the woods touches it.
No.
He's at the top end of that particular run. Everybody else, you can see the ridge line goes there in another unit. So,
Again, that's a very good question. Well, if there was somebody, upstream of them, we probably shouldn't do it. But again, on this one, he's at the top of it.
He owns, that's just one big parcel, even though there's blue lines in it.
It's three.
He owns all three.
They just don't have parcel numbers.
The other two.
Sometimes in the beginning, they don't always show.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know why they split it up like that. But
I guess my only question is what happens when he sells the south one and it still needs drainage or something?
At that point, they could
the petition.
petition it, turn it back
Yeah, a
on.
new drain put in, but I don't think it's really working all that great in the first place.
Okay. Trying to overlay some of the drainage basins here, which
It kind of goes into where nowhere land is over there. Once you hit that Fish Creek 7 and that Nathan Metz, part of that township is no longer regulated drains. Go south.
So obviously, when he caps it, he'd keep it clean where it goes into Ohio, so it wouldn't be sucking in mud.
that,
Pardon?
how do we know that?
Because it's written in the petition there, they'll have to. Is it actually written in there?
No, you should have had that part of the petition that he knew what he was signing, but we don't have it as part of the
Well, I
petition.
did a verbal with him, I guess, so I don't know if we need to amend that or whatever, but
You'd have to re-sign.
almost like there's several properties there that aren't in any basin.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of the counties, especially out of the lakes, they're not in basin.
There's part of Fish Creek that isn't regulated at all. It's the Richland Township.
Like, like a lot of this isn't even in any basin.
Okay.
One wanted to deal with that again at the fair too, where that runs into the fairgrounds. It's regulated, but there's no maintenance unit set up for it. Doesn't collect anything. Different subject, different day.
What's everyone like to do?
Make a motion that we vacate the stipulation that these, make it clear how he is supposed to, disconnect the drain with the cap and stuff, make it clear.
So again, he just wants to vacate for sure, for now. He's gonna delete and actually destroy the lateral running east and west, but the one north and south, he still wants to utilize that for his own personal.
That's fine, he still needs to cap it appropriately, so
Correct.
he doesn't suck any dirt in it.
Correct.
If we didn't have that spelled out anywhere in the agreement, I think it needs to be in there.
I agree.
You want him to re-sign it then?
If that's what it's gonna
They would need to amend the petition then and need to re-sign it.
that create an issue.
If it doesn't, the question is, you still want to make that motion or want to basically redo the contract and come back to us?
The appropriate way is that redo the contract.
So you got a motion.
Yeah,
Unless they rescind it.
or it just dies.
We just table it and have it come back.
Give it a second.
Can't say it, yeah.
I haven't seconded it yet. That's why I'm, okay, well, I'll second it for the sake of discussion. So that we can continue. So the north-south drain he wants to continue to use. Well, where's that gonna go to then?
It'll keep on going
Ohio.
there. Greg's cursor going over into Ohio.
So he's not gonna shut it down completely. He wants to just vacate that one portion of it from where it connects to the north-south.
So if he does not then vacate the north-south, then he'll have to get a variance
For his driveway off the road from 1,000 east, back to the east side of the woods to cross that.
But if it's not ours, he won't need,
There's no maintenance unit to actually maintain it, and he said he would rather just maintain it himself and put any money into it, in case it wants to run laterals or whatever to it. Goes into Ohio and I assume dips into Bear Creek at some point. Trying to file
There's gotta be
it.
some type of verification then, because I don't want us to abandon a tile that would cause Williams County issues.
Mhm.
So how do we ensure for Williams County's sake that it's properly done?
Correct. Once we sign off and vacate it, I don't know if you can.
That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to vacate that without some type of agreement to where that's going to be properly done at that point,
Mhm.
where it enters Williams County, it could end up creating an issue for people in Williams County. And I'm not gonna dump water on my neighbor.
So the question is, can we do an action plan? Basically, that this is what he's gonna do before we vacate it. ensure that
So you wanna go back to what Rick had suggested and have it vacated right on the west side of the road of 1,000 East, have it vacated, have it capped off properly, 100%.
what,
And him not even be able to use it then. Is that what you're saying?
no,
Okay.
I'm saying, as an action plan, what are you doing once you cap it off? Are you, obviously, you're building a home, you're gonna tile around that home foundation, I'm sure there's some gonna go into this, which is fine, just like to see what the plan is for it after it's vacated.
I know he's proposing a pond as well,
Yeah,
so.
Where's the overflow from the pond?
right. Because once that pond goes in, then we have the pond permit and all that stuff that needs to go through
Correct.
as well, so.
I can click on Williams County site, they tried on this side of the road.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Perhaps someone should contact Williams County and make sure that that's not something that has been neglected or forgotten, and to make sure it's not gonna be an issue for them.
Yeah, or a letter of non-objection from Williams
Okay.
County would probably putting on that as well.
Get a letter of non-objection from the drain commissioner over there. Williams County Drain Commissioner, who's the surveyor here, right?
I don't know.
It's highway engineer.
The highway engineer and the drain commissioner are the same,
It's
correct?
Todd Roth, that's who it is in
Thank
Williams
you.
County, Ohio.
It's Brian Fitch.
The county engineer that we usually deal with is Todd Roth.
We always deal with Brian Finch.
So we do have a motion. I think you do, at least.
I would say motion to table it.
Yeah, right, we have a motion, we
have a
gotta,
motion that we need to do.
right. So I guess we can. All those in favor of the original motion, signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Aye. Alright. Now we can,
Now we can go.
back and,
Motion died.
It died.
No.
Denied.
so yeah, I think we want to get a letter of non-objection from Williams County. I
Okay.
think that's probably should be pretty routine anytime we're running water over to the, another.
If he's wanting to. I mean, if he's actually wanting to just shut that part of it down, but then continue to use that, then there's a potential issue there.
There's, yeah.
Count.
Yeah.
I understand it's all his property.
Okay.
Don't debate that.
And there's also,
And then if he's gonna put a pond on there, of course, that's a different topic. What's gonna happen with the flow out?
Mhm.
This property here doesn't appear to be in any drainage basin based on what the GIS is showing me.
Yeah.
Some ground say otherwise. It's all surface draining.
You put in the topos, Greg? 10 footers.
nine 18. Pretty flat.
Looks like it goes, drains south.
East. Way down there in
Mm-hmm.
between the two.
A little bit to the north and a little bit to the south. That is that where that ridge is.
Can you fan to the east a little more? Keep going. I'm gonna see clear the state line.
904.
Oh, it is low up there, 896.
Yeah.
That's where he's proposing for a pond.
That circle, that little 904 in there, that's kind of where it holds water a little bit. You're now down there by the road.
Yeah. So what, letter non-objection from the,
Yeah, I guess Mike, if he's gonna maintain that north-south drain and it's going to connect to the Williams County drain, I'd like to know their thoughts on it.
Okay.
and then maybe an action plan for what they're gonna, once it's vacated?
Yeah.
An action plan of what is the plan and how to,
Yeah.
with your supervision on.
Now, Williams County might say that's fine.
Yep.
Williams County may say, well, you gotta cap it off at the road, on the east side of the road, west side of the road, excuse me.
I'll get working on that right away, so hopefully we can revisit that the next time we have drainage board.
Yeah.
I should have a final order somewhere over there that is waiting for you guys to be signed for public.
All right. Item number 3, utility permit request from NIPSCO. NIPSCO requests 4 waive requirements of number 5 and number 9 of the utility permit cap. Number 18 modified as NIPSCO sublist.
Well, one of them is what, they don't want to market, is that correct?
So they didn't want to have the as-built, they want that waived because they're afraid that we're gonna use that instead of calling 811. But the translation, which I think that's a little weird. But, and then the surface markers kind of, I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Isn't that what they're,
Yeah,
Well, surface markers, I say mowing crews typically rip them out anyway. And they would rather people do the proper steps of calling 811 and have them located that way. Rather than just going off the surface markers that get destroyed by mowing crews.
we made the Fritz's down on 700 South Market going underneath the ditch, and just this weekend, we finally got, cold heading back online because we were down at Pringer's with the, whole, I actually contacted Rick over it to try to get the, RC track drain through Pringer parking lot, hit a lateral, and we finally got power back by noon yesterday. Couldn't get a hold of anyone from NIPSCO, couldn't get a hold of them at all. It was a secondary line, but still ran through by Pringer's. But we finally got it fixed, otherwise cold heading wouldn't have went to work this morning. So I really like the idea of having markers there, whether people knock them down or not. I like to have markers there if possible.
Like I said, I know I've seen it in other counties, so I don't think that request is anything out of the ordinary. So,
I don't think 5 and 9 are unreasonable.
requests?
I mean, for us.
Yeah, for requests against the month.
and 18, I just kind of modified because they do sublet all the contracts, just so that they have to notify us within so many days of who the contractor is. In writing, contact information.
All right, leave it move.
But the ones highlighted, the ones we disagree with.
Yeah. So question would be 18, but I think it'd be
Like I said, I don't have a problem with 18 if I'm reading this correctly, that we can permit them to use a subcontractor as long as they notice 5 days prior to them starting the job.
Yeah, correct. You have to consent to it.
Yeah.
Make that in, it's part of the motion.
So, but it's something that will. Motion to approve the permit from the utility company to include items numbers 5 and 9 as presented. And number 18, they can, we will provide them permission to hire subcontractors as long as they notify us 5 days prior to the start of the job.
Wait, 6.
Do you just want to make it that you deny their request to the items number 5 and 9 because you don't think that's unreasonable, correct? That you're going to deny the request to waive those item numbers and then you're going to approve number 18 for them to sublet with written.
They pretty much use subs.
That's what I
Yes.
kind of just said.
Yeah, because there's different ways, but either way, it's, I think the understanding is items number 5 and 9 are remaining. After that. Right? Yeah.
And we're allowing 19 to be.
I just stated that in a way that I thought was.
The way it's. Give them that permission. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. First and second, any further discussion?
Just want to make sure. So items 5 and 9 are staying in the application. So if they're being, their request to for deny or being
Request is
rejected. 18, they're allowed to assign it to a subcontractor. And we're providing them permission to do that now, as long as they notify us 5 days.
Right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thanks.
Do you think they're going to sign that then, Greg?
Well, if they don't, they can come back with something else. Yeah.
Well, they send them to their legal team and then they rewrite the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
I don't,
And they can not
yeah,
do what they're planning to do.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's unreasonable or what
No, it's not. I don't think it is either. They want to modify every single.
I never said it's beginning yet. Yeah, and we have hang on, we have an update on the out east with the thing from the Army Corps or.
With the HWAC, Greg, what's the last time? So there was a, go ahead.
Spoke with Pete Gunzik. And he said Earthsource has done their investigation. We should have a report within the next week or two. The delineation report, they met out with John Ritchie, the Army Corps. That's his name, right, John?
Yes.
And sounds like he wants to push it to full mitigation. Could be significant loss of property by the landowner, but it'll be all on the landowner to put a ditch back in on the property. And then it'd have to probably be fenced around so no horses can get in it and stuff like that. So sounds like it's either that or take it to the Supreme Court, spend millions of dollars, fines and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we'll have a report in the next week or two from Earthsource. But it sounds like they're gonna be able to prove that it is a US waterway that they filled in with tile. Mitigation will need done, ditch needs put back in on the same property.
It's there to start with.
Well, after 5
Natural,
years,
made it natural.
Yeah, made it
the
natural.
tile collapsed. The water started running. Water cut its own natural course through. After so many, is it 3 or 5 years, Greg,
I think they said 5.
that the water cuts its own course, it becomes that natural water. So they'll have to.
So they'll have to recreate that water.
There just wasn't enough evidence beforehand of like pictures, like contractor, landowner should have took pictures of the waterway beforehand. To be able to prove it did not have characteristics of the US waterway. And there wasn't enough evidence to be able to, all we have is GIS, imaging, stuff like that, so. And then they were going back out to investigate, see what kind of vegetation grew back up, and yeah, said it's not enough evidence to prove that it was not a US waterway. So, but we'll know more, even more in the next couple of weeks.
That it was.
Again, everyone wants this done and over with. It's just worth the hands of the corn. IDEM and all that, so.
They didn't give you a specific date. They just said within the next week or two.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, whenever they get
You
that.
see it before our next board meeting.
You know, ask the same question.
Sure.
And then if you have your answer is no, I'm gonna say, why haven't we contacted them?
Earthsource, or
We've been in contact with them.
so Earthsource is trying to prove that it was not a US waterway. So they're the ones with that'll create the water delineation report.
Yeah.
So they were trying to prove that it was not. But Army Corps is trying to prove that it is.
And again, who's paying for all this? The landowner's paying for all this, correct?
Correct.
Landowner hired our source,
Okay.
and we hired Gensig,
Correct.
and the landowner's paying.
And the landowner is gonna reimburse us for Gensig.
No, we didn't pay for that.
Or we didn't pay for
That's
Gensig,
all-
no, that's all now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the taxpayers or in the watershed are not being penalized at all for this.
Okay.
That's a mess.
For now.
For now.
Very
Anything else?
tentatively.
Anything else? All right. We are in recess.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure that's pretty simple. You don't feel left out. Yeah.
Hey, thank you.